We think the key to changing is beating ourselves up. Kindness of God is what leads us to a change of mind. If he changes our mind through his kindness, why do we try to use other methods to change ourselves?
Everyone's invited. You sit at the table. Don't matter if you feel it, fit or unfaithful. 'Cause even when you're guilty, our God is able to love you on and on and on and on all your life. Love you on and on and on and on all your life. Love you on and on and on and on all your life.
Hi, I'm Keith Stevens, talking with 10th Avenue North. They share about the new launch of the band after taking some time off. They also share about some new songs like Kind to Myself and Invited.
I love that song.
I love that song.
I love that song.
Hey, welcome to I Love That Song. I'm Keith Stevens here with 10th Avenue North. We got Thomas, Mike, and Payden. Welcome, guys. How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
So
Woo,
lovely.
give me some props. Come on.
Let's go,
you guys
baby.
in the house today. Thank you for being here.
Can we repeat that fist bump? I just like we have to go around so many microphones and stuff. That was exciting.
You gotta make sure it's a good one. Yeah.
I just mean you're committed. I like it.
That's it. Cool. Well, you guys, it's great to have you here today. And you got new music. You have a new song. We're here to talk about your music, talk
go.
about your songs, talk about what you're passionate about, and the year coming up for you. So very excited to have you guys here. And let's talk about Kind to Myself.
Man, I think talking to so many folks over the years, and KTIS, you guys have always been so generous playing our music, and we always want to provide music that helps people not feel alone in their struggle.
Yeah.
You know, and I think sometimes when you go to church and you listen to Christian music, you end up somehow just feeling less than. Like, I'm not good enough. And so what I've noticed is there's so many folks, myself included, who we think the key to changing is beating ourselves up. You know, because Jesus has some strong language that he uses. You know, you got to hate your own life and follow me. You got to cut off your hand if it causes you to sin. But I was reading a book by a therapist named Jay Stringer, where he was talking about dealing with men who had unwanted desires and actions. And he said he found that those men that he would counsel would find far more breakthrough when they would stop trying to hate themselves into changing and actually got curious and kind with themselves. And I said, well, doesn't that make sense? Romans 2:4 says the kindness of God is what leads us to repentance, or in the Greek, it's actually to a change of mind, right? And so if God changes our mind, and when our minds change, our actions will follow. If he changes our mind through his kindness, why do we try to use other methods to change ourselves? Think about what Frederick Buechner said about God. He actually says in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve that God is the first therapist. Because he points out something.
It's so true.
The way that God talks to Adam and Eve is so different than the way we talk to ourselves. They've screwed up. Worst screw up in human history, you could argue. And what does he say? What does he lead off with? Where are you? Who told you that? What did you do? These are questions of inquiry, not interrogation. When I screw up, I don't go, where are you? Who told you that? What did you do? I go, what's wrong with you? What were you thinking? How on earth could you? And Frederick Buechner says that when we can start asking our questions the way God asks his questions, then we can actually decipher whose voice we're hearing in our head. So one of the things I say in the song is, what does the voice in your head sound like when you fail for the 1,000th time? Is it cruel or is it kind? I know so many people go, I don't know what's me, what's God, what's the devil, what's the burrito that I ate before lunch, right? And I think a really good way of figuring out whose voice you're listening to is realizing that our enemy is the accuser of the brethren.
Totally.
Okay, so I'm getting a little preachy.
No,
here,
it's
but
right. He's the accuser of the brethren.
I want you to get this.
100%.
So if the voice is interrogative, that's probably not God.
Mm-hmm.
If it's curious, it probably is. If that voice is accusatory and condemning, probably not God. If that voice is convicting and challenging, that might be God. If that voice is cruel, that's the enemy. If it's kind, it's God. And make no mistake, I'm not saying it's always going to be nice. Like a surgeon is kind to cut you. But there's a big difference between a convicting voice and a condemning voice, because convicting means victos is the Greek, with victory, or condemnation, with damnation. When the Spirit talks to you, He brings victory with it.
Amen. Yeah, and it's His kindness who leads us to repentance. And you know who sang a song about that years ago was Leslie Phillips. It was one of the most beautiful songs, and it's His kindness that leads us to repentance. We forget the simple truths of that, and it's that simplicity. We were talking yesterday about the love of God that just needs to be poured out on people's hearts and lives. That's, you know, for us, maybe it becomes trite or rote or it's the same old thing, but it's not, because so many people haven't heard it, but they haven't experienced the love of God.
Can I tell you one more story
in
about
their
this
heart?
song?
Yes.
I had already written the song,
Yeah.
and we were playing in a city. A buddy of mine came, and we were talking about the song. I go,
Yeah.
you got to hear this song. I want to play you this song.
Yeah.
And he said, man, that reminds me, last week I was driving to a therapy appointment, and I missed my exit. And this was in Dallas, Texas. So he goes, when you miss, he's from Texas, he's laughing. When you miss an exit in Texas, that's a 30-minute detour, because you loop around. He says, I get into my therapy appointment, and my therapist goes, how are you feeling today? He goes, I have been berating myself for the last 30 minutes. You idiot. How could you do something so stupid? I totally related, because just this past Christmas, I was on a roller coaster at Dollywood, and my phone flew out of my pocket because I put it in the wrong pocket. And for days, I was like, you idiot, what's wrong with you? He said, I get there, I say, I've just been beating myself up. She goes, so you've been beating yourself up for 30 minutes for making a wrong turn? He goes, yes. He goes, if your friend was driving and you were berating them for 30 minutes, how long could you do that before you think that action is sinful? He said, I never thought about that. He goes, right. If you talk to your friend the way you talk to yourself, like, then you'd be in an abusive relationship with yourself by the way you talk to yourself. So we have to consider that when we're beating ourselves up. Say, would I speak to my friend this way?
Well, did you grow up in Texas, Payden?
Yeah.
What was it like growing up in
Well,
Texas?
I kind of grew up all over, actually. I was born in Texas, and then I grew up a missionary's kid. So I actually grew up in Mexico as well.
Okay.
Lived in Mexico, lived in Africa, all over. Drilling water wells with my parents, so.
No big deal.
Yeah, you know. But yeah, so mainly from Texas, though. So all the family's from Texas.
Gotcha. And so, but you had quite a growing up experience.
Yeah.
Do you view that? What were the helpful parts of that to you in your life?
I think,
Because obviously you had a different view and a different experience than most kids growing up in one
Yeah.
place, or maybe move once or
Well,
twice. But
I'll
you
be honest.
really went all over.
yeah, a lot of people thought my parents were crazy. They said, you guys are making the wrong move. You're gonna alienate your kids because they're not gonna have a normal life. Our pastor said that. My grandparents said that.
Yeah.
They
so
weren't exactly
And you turned
wrong.
out totally normal.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, and meeting other kids on the mission field like the same age as me, I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. You guys are a little weird. Like, homeschool missionaries kid, they're kind of weird. It's okay. We're all kind of weird. But I think, for me and my sister, it was one of the most unifying experiences of family, and it brought us so much closer. It actually opened up doors that I never thought. I met an artist that I went on to play for 8 years in Mexico when he was 16. I was 9 years old.
No way.
So, yeah.
I didn't
So
realize
it just like, we cultivated a relationship from there, and then 10 years later ended up touring. You all know him here. Touring with him for 8 years, making 2 records, and just traveling the world. And so it's just like those key defining moments of something that my parents did in order to further our lives in the kingdom and ministry.
And that artist is?
Leland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. Thomas, how about you? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Loveland, Colorado, which is about an hour north of Denver.
Nice.
Yeah.
You get a lot of skiing in there in the winter
Yes.
time?
Yeah, we were just talking about it. Every winter, being in Nashville, we've been here for 10 years, and there's always a little sad part of like, there's no mountains here.
Right.
So, and you know, you can pay almost the same amount of money and go to a ski hill that is in North Carolina that's like not the same, you know. And I'm like, I don't know if it's worth it to do it. But I'm getting to the point where I'll take anything.
Sure.
I'll ski down my street if I need to, you know, just to get it on. But yeah,
Snowboarder or skier?
grew up skiing first and then switched to snowboarding. But we were in my dad's backpack on when he was skiing before we could walk. You know, it was kind of those situations.
Yeah.
So
Cool. So, Mike, how did everybody get together here now for this new launch of 10th Ave
What a
North?
wild story.
I mean, you know,
Isn't it the wild story?
it's wild.
I don't know how much your listeners know. We always said we're not going to sacrifice anyone's family on the altar of 10th Avenue North. And so in 2017, the drummer who I'd started the band with, he felt really passionately the whole time we had a band. He said, when my oldest daughter starts middle school, I'm getting off the road. And sure enough, we had just had our biggest hit of our career. He goes, guys, I got to be home. And it was tearful. We were so sad. He got a really cool opportunity with Compassion International. Ended up becoming our artist rep with Compassion.
How about it?
I still live on the same street. Two of our daughters are best friends. I see them all the time. But he left, and then our keyboard player at the time said, when my wife and I have a kid, this is probably too much of the story. When my wife and I have a kid, we're going to get off the road. And sure enough, she got pregnant, so they came off the road. And then the three remaining guys, it was me and two other guys, that said, I actually need to take some time off. And they said, actually, we're ready to retire from this too. And most people from the outside looking in would never understand that, because it's just, why would you not want to be on stage and play? But there's a real cost of being gone. And it caught up to me, and so I decided to come home, be off the road, and couldn't stop writing songs. Even did a solo record. And then when I did the solo record, this trickling started happening, where all these former mentors of mine and friends of mine, different artist friends of mine, they're like, you should be the band. You're a band guy. You should be. I'm like, was my solo record that bad? And they're like, no, we liked it. It just seems like it's not done. And then my wife came to me and said, hey, I think God is still putting these songs in you. I think you should get the band back together. And Thomas and I had started making music, and I said, Thomas, if I got 10th Avenue North back together, it was like that. I was
Sure.
Okay, great. And Monty, who's not here, we were playing a festival. It was the first show I did with a full band as Mike Donehey, not as 10th Avenue North.
Sure.
And I remember getting off the stage going, well, that didn't feel right. Like, if I'm going to be in a band, it is 10th. That's all I know. And Monty goes, hey, I got this friend, Payden, plays drums. And I think he'd just fit in great. So the idea was you were going to play this one show with us. And then I just couldn't get rid of him after that.
No, you
It's
can't.
just like
He's
a
too
fungus,
good.
you know?
He's great.
Happens.
He actually is wickedly talented. I mean, he plays on so many people's records because he has a drum company, plays drums for all kinds of records. How many streams did your songs have last year? You gave us some stat. The songs that you played on last year?
Yeah, 500 million.
Yeah, no big deal. He played on 500 million streams of songs last year. So
It's incredible.
now I'm like, don't leave us.
Right, that's right.
Don't
You
ever
have to
leave
keep
us.
them.
Monty fished me in. He knew my number, and he just read me like a book. We were sitting in line at a restaurant. It was for my birthday dinner, actually. And he's like, man, I really need to find a drummer and a bass player for 10th for this show coming up. And I'm just looking at him like, yeah. And, you know, who are you going to find? And he's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm
You
like,
had kind of sworn off the road at that point.
yeah, basically. But I was like, you can't do that. You know I want to do it now.
That's so great. That's so great. Who are you guys, each one of you, closest with? Your mom or your dad, and why? We'll start with you, Payden.
Oh, that's hard. Both with, close with both of them.
Yeah.
I'd say my dad, though. I had my dad as my best man at my wedding. Yeah, I respect him.
I'm sure that meant a lot to him.
Oh, yeah.
And was it a hard
Yeah.
choice for you, or you're like, oh no, I'm
No,
my
it's
dad.
like, yeah, this is happening.
You guys are pals.
I respect the crap out of my dad.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
That's good. Mike, what about you?
I'd say it's probably an equal split for me. I get along with both my parents, talk to them evenly, talk to them both for 30 minutes each yesterday. So, yeah, I go even split.
Yeah.
Even split. I would say the same. I know it's not as exciting as having a divisive story to add to that, but no, I have amazing parents. My dad is my hero as well, and so I look up to him in so many ways. I asked him to be my best man, and I was like, do you want to be my best man or do you want to marry us? And he's like, I think I'd like to marry you guys. It'd be really cool. So, and then my mom is my like connect to the heart, of life and spirituality and family and stuff. So she's got that connection with me.
That's good.
Yeah.
Mike, did you ever get your time off like the rest of the guys in the band? Did you ever feel like you got yours, or
Yeah,
were
there's
you...
this thing called COVID that happened.
Yeah,
I don't know if
that
you're
did,
familiar.
yes.
So, I mean, we were off the road. 10th didn't exist for, 4 years?
Yeah.
And it was just so funny because my wife was begging me to come off the road, and that kind of led to the band ending. And then, she had me for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, actually,
Get back on the road.
I think maybe I need to miss you again a little bit. No, our daughters all got to an age where our youngest is in school full time.
Yeah.
And it kind of just changed things. And my wife still feels like I'm called to do this. So just trying to follow where we feel like God's calling us.
Right. That's excellent.
And even, the tough part is there's going to be people who make assessments and judgments about what you're doing or should and shouldn't do. And I actually, this feels like a name drop, but I was hanging out with the Switchfoot guys. I did a conference in Laguna Beach, and I was texting with them, and they said, dude, come down to the studio. You're like 30 minutes away. So I came down. They're working on some stuff, and I told them how I felt this stirring to bring the band back, but I felt like, I can't do it if it's not all the same guys, because I asked them, and they're like, you can do it, that'd be great, but we don't want to come out on the road anymore. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that. And the Switchfoot guys, I've always just looked up to music, how they carry themselves, even backstage. I join a host of artists who say, don't meet your heroes unless it's Switchfoot. And so to risk gushing too much, I just go, guys, what do you think I should do? And John looked at me and goes, I mean, you can do whatever you want. In music, it's like, if you feel like you should put a band back together, do that. And if you feel like you shouldn't, don't. And people are going to judge it either way. And what's important is what you feel like God's calling you to do. So here we are.
Okay, so one other song I want to ask you about, and then ask you one more question. The song Invited gets a lot of great response to the station. Can you share about that?
Yeah, that was so cool. Little crossover moment for those who are diehard fans and know. But Jeff was our guitarist for years and years. And he moved back down to South Florida where the band started. And we went down there, and I brought Thomas and Monty at the time, and we did a little songwriting camp. And I asked Jeff, hey, would you come write some songs with us? I know you don't want to tour anymore, but it'd be really cool to have you. You wrote so many of 10th Ave songs with me. And the first day, we're loading in gear, and he's walking going, everyone invited, everyone invited, like that. I go, are you saying everyone's invited? He goes, I think so. And interesting. And I have a dad who is just so wildly hospitable. Like Thanksgiving at 9 years old, I would show up to a house full of strangers. And it was actually annoying when you're a kid. You're like, Dad, is there any turkey left for me? And like, shut up, kid. We met your dad at the tire shop. We got to eat it all. And you're like, I don't like that you're so hospitable. And then the fun story is I learned to turn that against my dad, where in college I just started telling all my friends they could stay at my parents' house.
That's so great.
And my favorite story.
They did run out of turkey.
My favorite story is I had some band friends who called me at midnight one night, and they said, "So, we're like an hour from your parents' house. Can we stay at your parents' house? I go, oh, you could definitely stay at my parents' house. And I call my dad, and I go, hey, Dad, I got some friends coming. He goes, okay. I go, and there's 10 of them. Oh, okay. And they haven't showered in like 2 weeks, apparently, because they've been on this club tour. Okay. Is that cool? Long silence. He's like, do they like chicken? I go, what? He goes, are there any pescatarians in the group? I go, I think so. He goes, okay, goodbye. So I call my buddy. I go, I don't know if my dad's sleepwalking or what, but, you should be fine. And I get a text video message at 3 a.m. They finally pull up to my parents' house. And my dad is not sleeping. He is shirtless on the back porch with a headlamp on, actively grilling chicken and fish for these dudes that he's never met.
That's
and
cool.
So when we were writing Invited, because of who my dad was, I don't have any difficulty believing the scriptures that say, come all you who are weary and burdened, and come all with no money, come, Isaiah 55, and Revelation 22, the Spirit and the bride say, come. I go, of course the Bible says that. That's what my dad would say. And so Invited was sort of born out of the invitational heart of God that it was modeled to me from my own father.
And it comes through on the song, because the song is the vehicle that you feel that through. Over the radio or listening in your car, it's definitely felt because of that probably vision or that experience that you had with your dad.
And
Does he know that? Does he know?
He came to a show on the fall tour, and I told that story.
Good.
And he's just, weeping.
He's glad he stayed up till 3 a.m. making grilling out on the back porch, right?
Oh, and the thing is about my dad, and then he'll be up at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
cooking pancakes for everybody. I mean, the man doesn't sleep.
It's crazy.
He's a maniac.
You took him up on it. That's pretty crazy. Have you guys stayed at his house too?
Yeah, I have.
What's it like?
It's amazing. They're as hospitable as that. They keep trying to get my wife and I and our daughter just to come hang out with them. They're like, come, even if you're not passing through, just come out here, take a trip, and come stay with us. And I'm like, they're that kind of people. It's cool. Really, they sent us, gifts for our daughter's birthdays, and I don't know, just over and above and beyond kind of thing.
It's really sweet. It's really sweet. It's rare, right? It's rare, but it's great to have. What does success look like for you 5 years from now?
Man, yeah, it's really been changing. I just turned 38 this year, or in November, and success is changing, to me, and I'm learning to be okay with just letting go of plans and my ideas of what success is, because there's so much goodness that the Lord's given us all, but I can look at my life and so much to be grateful for, and so I actually just want to lean into what He's given me and not be asking for more to be happy, I think it's actually just scaling back and saying, what is the things that God's given me, and just leaning in and being grateful for that. So I think success in 5 years looks like me not caring as much about what success looks like.
That's really true. Mike, what about you?
So I hope for success for me is the more that I treasure the right things, right? So I'd like to say, man, I want to be in a place where I'm not worried about money. It's like, well, maybe I don't need more money. I just need to trust God more. It's what I need for success. And I think just my wife being in love with me, my daughters loving me. They invited me to speak at their chapel the other day, my middle school daughters. I went, okay, this feels like success,
Yes.
To have friends, the fact that I'm still friends with all my old bandmates feels like huge success to me.
Right on.
Because that's very rare. Usually a lot of people think we had some kind of fight and falling out, and it's very opposite. We're just trying to honor everyone's needs for their families. So just to be surrounded by the people I love, honestly.
Doing life with people that you love, I think that's success. I'm definitely one of the most, I do like conflict, because I feel like friction creates opportunities. And
You actually love conflict.
Yeah, in a healthy way.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think because
Clear as kind.
See, a wise friend of mine once told me, and this kind of brings it back to kind of myself. Kindness to me is clarity. And I think, especially being in a band, you've got a lot of cooks in the kitchen. And so with that, it can create a little bit of friction. But I think healthy friction is good. It's respect amongst each other. And so doing, success for me is doing things, pushing the ball forward with people like these guys and my wife and, whatever we put our hands to, just being in fellowship while you're doing something together.
And that's what I love about you guys, because you have that same heart, that same passion to serve and to go out and to make disciples of other people. And really, at the end of the day, that's what's going to last. So keep it up. Welcome back. We're so glad you guys got back together in this new, 2.0 or whatever you want to call it. And we wish you the best in the next decades ahead or whatever God has for you. So we're excited for you in your new year ahead.
Thank you.
Way to go, guys.
Thank you.
And we have a hope, right? We don't grieve like other people who don't have hope.
Yeah.
But we grieve with the hope of heaven and with the hope of the gospel and with Jesus. So, guys, keep loving the things that God has given you that don't cost a thing, right? The relationships, your wife, your parents, all the things that you have that God's given you. And I think it's going to be a good journey for you. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks for sharing with us.
Thanks, man. Thanks for listening to the podcast. I Love That Song. I Love That Song is a faith podcast. Discover more at myfaithpodcasts.com.
I love that song.
I love that song.
I love that song.